ashes to whoever would like. We'll be in the Village Square Activity Room at 10:15 before the Bible study, Elder Day at 10:45, Brookview Chapel at 1 o'clock, here in Chambers Point Renaissance Dining Room at 1:45, that's right before the Bible study, Memory Homes at 2:15, and Brookview Northgate Activity Room at 3:15, again before the Bible study. And then upon request, if you have a request and want to meet, we can do that as well. Also, if you're interested in being a caring friend, we need more caring friends to do visiting. Please give me a call and we can talk about that. I can let you know what that's about and how you could be involved. So check the scroll for other information, please. Thank you much. I'll hand it over to oh. My mind's going to Suzette. Suzette. Oh, I'm terrible with names sometimes. It just gets stuck in there. So sorry.
No problem, Brenda. I understand. You know, I'm one of those unusual people that loves winter because it reminds me that spring is coming. And I feel like in these years with COVID, it's felt like somehow for me an extended winter, but it feels like we have a very real spring coming as everything's getting back into rhythms, and I hope you guys are feeling that too, and just feeling we're kind of maybe getting over some of this stuff. So we're very excited on the auxiliaries end. For those of you who might not know me, I'm Suzette Davis, and I'm currently the chair of our Menno Haven Auxiliary, and we exist to brighten the life and lighten the load. So we brighten the life of residents and lighten the load of our employees. And one of our main focuses as a fundraising organization is to really bring enhancement of things that will truly impact quality of life directly for our residents. We try and look across all of the avenues of service that Menno Haven offers, and we try to contribute something in each area. So that's kind of how our board works as we look through projects and activities and fundraisers. And just wanted to give y'all a little overview in case you might be new, and those of you in TV land that might be new and not know what we do here. So I'd like to give you some updates. First of all, I'd like to start with a huge thank you for all of those that supported our Brighten the Holidays campaign. Again, y'all really came through. We came in with about $9,000, which is amazing. That's probably our second largest fundraiser at this point, behind our treasure chest. So we really appreciate that support, and those of you that during a time of giving in the year think of others and think particularly of the auxiliary and the way that we can join together to touch resident lives. We also, the board just recently approved our 2023 projects. And if you're an auxiliary member, we'll give a little more detail around some of those items at our annual meeting in February. But I did want to let everyone know we do feel comfortable approving $95,000 again. So we're very excited. We're getting very close to our pre-COVID levels of being able to offer support to various areas of Menno Haven. And that's all thanks to you and your continued support of what we do. And speaking of the treasure chest needs household items. It has been amazing when they've reopened. We've been averaging, with things costing $5 or less, typically about $8,000 a month in sales, which is incredible. We're really excited about what that might mean for our ability to join with Menno Haven next year. So that's why we felt so confident putting in the $95,000 this year. So we want to give ourselves a whole year and make sure we're going to sustain this, but we came out like gangbusters. But they definitely could use your household items. If you or someone you know is making a transition, or if there's someone that you're friends with that's going to be transitioning through our continuum, if you just remind them, hey, the treasure chest would be glad to take your items. Regular donations are Thursdays. typically from 9 to 3, but please feel free to reach out to Billy Torrey if you would like to drop. Otherwise, they do a great job of working with people and making sure that we can work with you to get your items to the treasure chest. Another good event that we've got is our annual auxiliary meeting is coming up February 28th. We're so excited. This is the first in-person meeting we've held in 2 or 3 years, and we're going to have some very exciting updates at that, some new things that the auxiliary is considering. So that's open to all members, and we would really encourage you, if you are a member, hopefully you've received your invitation and you just respond to Billy Torrey and let her know you plan to come. There's no cost for this. Or if you didn't receive and you are an auxiliary member, please feel free to reach out to Billy anyway, but let us know you did not receive the invitation and we'll make sure to update our list. So we really look forward to a fun evening that evening of celebrating and sharing some of the vision that the board is developing for the next year or two through the auxiliary. And if you're not a member and you're saying, well, hey, what about me? Well, we would love for you to join the auxiliary. We've always got room for more people that want to join us and have a good time making a difference here at Menno Haven. So if you are interested in joining the auxiliary and you're not currently a member, we have all levels of membership, lifetime to just, hey, I just want to give you some money and support you every year and I want to be a member and stay informed. So please reach out to Billy Torrey again if you're interested in more information about that, and we would be glad to connect you and get you joined to the auxiliary. We do have some exciting opportunities coming up to get involved. One of those is an auxiliary social. So we have that on calendar for March 29th. We realize we have a lot of new residents that might not know exactly who and what the auxiliary is. So the purpose of these meetings is to get our membership together, to maybe share some opportunities for service within the Menno Haven Auxiliary, and to just let new people know what we do and what the auxiliary is about and how they might join. So this is open to everyone. You don't have to be an auxiliary member. This is just a little meet and greet thing where you can come get more information, have fun with your neighbors, and hopefully have a good evening. So more information on that as we come through, but please keep that date in mind. I believe it's a Wednesday, and we will hold them on both communities throughout the year. We have 3 scheduled for this year. Other exciting updates is we are currently strategically planning about a reboot of the boutique. So we're checking into new vendors. We are looking at maybe restructuring some of our decorating space inside and trying to just do a little reboot. And at some point over the next year or so, we're going to try and develop a feedback form where we can reach out to you guys and find out what exactly are you looking for in our areas. That also, after we get our boutique kind of settled down, we're strategically going to look at all of our gift shop areas. So, and just kind of work with Menno Haven management over how we can improve all of those areas. We've definitely heard loud and clear that the point is something that you guys would maybe like to have a little bit more access to, and that maybe we could garner some feedback over items in there. So please be patient with us as we get all of these areas back up to speed, and please know we're not ignoring you. It just takes a little time because we are a group of volunteers. So thank you so much for your patience with that, and hopefully we will see you in the boutique. We're hoping to have a fun kickoff event and see if we can't just let everybody see some of the exciting new things that are going on. Once we get a date forwarded, we'll get some information out about a save the date for that. And I did want to just give you an overview. Our largest fundraiser by far is the treasure chest. So thank you to those that donate, volunteer, shop, any involvement in the treasure chest. You are so appreciated, and you truly do make a difference here at Menno Haven. And then our next few would be our Brighten the Holidays campaign, where people just graciously give during that time of a giving season throughout the holidays. Then we have our 2 major events. which are, we consider those not only fundraisers, but friend raisers. And if you got to come to the tea last year, one of our 2 teas that we held, hopefully you had a good time. It seemed like it. We had some great hats at the teas. Miss Sandra Musser was amazing with all her little stuff on it. But so we will be planning 2 major fundraising, friend-raising events again this year, one in May and one in October. And we're trying to brainstorm. We really like the tea, but we don't like how limited our number of availability is for that event because it is a sit-down event. So we're trying to come up with something that's got a little bit larger number so more people can be included, and we can have it where anybody that wants a ticket can come at that particular event. So more information to come on that, and hopefully we will see you guys at one of those activities this year. And thank you again for all of the ways that you reach out to the auxiliary and support it through giving, buying tickets, donating the ham loaves, which also is a wonderful way to not only touch Menno Haven, but our community. We just sincerely appreciate the partnership we have together to make a difference here at Menno Haven. So thank you for that. And now we have Chuck Nelson coming up to share a little bit about development.
Well, almost said good afternoon. It is morning, right? These days fly. But good morning, and it's great to see all of you on this crisp day. I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on in development. And which way do you go, up or down here? I figured I'd get it wrong. But, okay, just a few of the things we did last year. We had many projects from the pergola up here, which has really turned out nice. And you will probably get a lot more use out of it this year. We didn't get it done really till the fall. And then the bocce ball, we did, can't even hardly see here, we did the pavilion at the Village Square that was really starting to get used, and it really gives the residents up there an outlet. We put the chimes in because they had pretty much burnt out, that go at 9, 12, and 3. And then we did the raised gardens. And some of the things that we have planned is, let's see, we got a treasure chest vehicle so they can go pick up stuff. And the pavilion furniture, we built, of course, the pavilion, and then we put 16 more panels on the Life Center for solar. So we're not self-sufficient yet, but one day we'll get there. What we're looking at here is we've had a lot of requests since we built the pavilion. Sure be nice to have restrooms out there. And particularly someone's a walker or wheelchair rather than have to go the whole way into the Renaissance. So we're looking at, we're going to put restrooms there, whether it's going to be 1 pot or 2 pot. That's the big debate now. But there'll be something there. Also, we did raise the funds. We have ordered the electric car that will be used by the community, one of the community nurses. And I'd never seen one before, and Jennings brought one over. You don't even know it's on. We open up the hood, there's no motor there. It's roomy. It's got a lot of pickup. It'll go about 253 miles on one charge. And so you'll be seeing probably Carol in this vehicle. It takes about 3 months to get. Of course, I got to tell them, as you know, you got to remember to charge this thing up, or it isn't going anywhere. And we have 2 chargers over at the Life Center, in the back of the Life Center. One of the things that I'm excited about, and the auxiliary, all the things they do, we're going to have a fundraiser, and they've agreed to match It costs about $25,000 for each one. We want to buy two, and they're going to match dollar for dollar of any donations we get, up to $25,000. So that means if we can raise 25 more, we can get the two wheelchair trams. You can get two wheelchairs in there, and I tell you, it's amazing, and I've seen over the years, when someone is in the healthcare center and personal care, when you get them into another environment outside, how they perk up, they remember things that they hadn't before, and it really brings some hope to their life. So we'll be able to take them around campus on both campuses. So we're hoping we can get those by the spring. Now, as most of you know, we purchased the land back here from Wilson, about 39 acres. About half of it's a floodplain. So this is going to be built into our master plan, which we're working on now. So I really don't know yet what all we're going to do, but we are going to go ahead. We've already got the one trail laid out and put some hiking trails back there. And I know we went through, Mike Kavanaugh and Jerry Edwards and I hiked. I'm not much of a hiker. We went the other week, and of course it didn't look like this because you had to climb over trees and go under trees. But our hope is that we could get it cleared out, have it open by the spring. Oh, I'm excited about this one. I think most of you have been to the Coffee and Conversations, and always the mic breaks down in the middle of it, and we don't have sound there, and it makes it a little rough. We have a resident that has funded all the equipment, and we've ordered it, to make this a media room. When it's not being used for dining, we can show movies and things. They're small, but about 200 speakers all over the place. They're going to have 4 mics, all new equipment. So we will really utilize that. And I think you will find when we get that Coffee and Conversation, you'll be able to hear. So we're excited about that. Oh, this is surprising, but we built I guess there were about 20 raised gardens, and they just went quick as could be. And you have the ones over here. These were the first that are always full, and they're beautiful. Well, we're building right now 12 more. They've almost got them built to put down. Well, believe it or not, they're all taken, and we got demand for probably 10 more. So we'll be building 10. They're just going to go around the corner in front of the greenhouse and build probably 10 more. It's just amazing. And people said it's easier here because they don't have to bend down, and I agree with them, to the in-ground. So those are some of the things we have going on. And then this is very special. Over the years, we've had many requests from residents that my loved one, I'd like to put their ashes somewhere. Well, many of them did, and we didn't publicize it. They might have put a tree in and put it around the tree. But it was the dream of the Hawkersmiths, Will and Marion. Mary passed away in September last year, to have an ash garden. So they've already grown the garden, been working on that a couple years. We have put in a concrete pad right over in this picture closest to me, and we had the fountain delivered. It's a big, big fountain. The first one they sent was cracked, so we had to send it back. And we have a stone that was made, and we're getting that put in where you could put the name on it. And you'll be able to spread ashes and put the name of a loved one there. And we're hoping to do a dedication on May 5th. You'll all be invited for. And we're also going to do a celebration of life for Mary Hawkersmith, and she will be the first one for her ashes to be spread. That's pretty neat. That was her idea, and she's going to be the first one here. So you'll get a notice on that. Okay, what we're going to be, just raised the money for this last week, at the pavilion at Brookview, we're going, because there's a lot of room in there. We can push the tables back a little. We're going to put a seating area in with a fire pit, kind of like is up here at the pergola. So that's going to add a lot to that area. So we ordered the furniture before for all these places and for the 3 patios at the healthcare center, Brookview. Took us about 6 months to get. This was during COVID. I hope we can get these in a couple of months. That's the problem, getting stuff. Okay, just want to thank everybody for their support last year. We raised $762,000 for benevolence and $384 for other projects for a total of $1,147,000, which, to say the least, I was surprised because we just came out off of a very successful capital campaign after 4 years. So this year, this is a new year, so we'll be back out there. Our hope is someday that we can totally fund benevolence, which runs about $1.5 million, and we won't have to supplement that from operations, because benevolence is probably one of the greatest things about Mennehaven. So I want to thank you, and also, if you have any ideas, any amenities or things you want, come see me. Somehow we'll work it out. So thank you very much. Now, Tiffany is in Maine snowmobiling. I imagine it's pretty cold up there. So we are going to see her. She taped hers. She wasn't going to be left out. So here she comes.
Well, hello everyone. I apologize that I can't be at town meeting today in person, but you can't get rid of me that fast. So you get to see me virtually today so I can give you a couple updates. I always like to start with what's on my to-do list and continue to follow up with those items. So big projects, I wanted to give you an update on the community paving, macadam paving of the roads. So we will be paving the majority of the Brookview community, right from the Life Center area out front, all the way around up through Village Square and behind, and that project will begin at the end of April. So get in line with our suppliers. We are slated for that project at the end of April. There will also be paving in the back of the Renaissance and the Manor building, the parking lot behind the Renaissance, as well as that service area that's pretty rocky from all of the trucks and deliveries and things. So stay tuned for that. I just wanted to give you an update on the campus paving project. I'll be giving you a for sure, and we'll talk about logistics when it gets a little closer to the time, but we are looking at the end of April for that project to begin. And if you reside at North Gate or in our Brookview Villas, or you like to traverse the campus, you may have heard about the beloved mound of dirt. Some have coined this dirt. I've heard it called Mount Davis, Mount Larry, but we are working hard to make the mount go away. So if you are living and residing in that area, please be aware. Dirt moving should have begun last week, but will continue. So just be aware of that. Watch for construction vehicles, and we're looking to make that area nice and flat as possible, and put some nice grass in there. So we should have, I feel like we should have a decommissioning service for that big mound of dirt. It has been there so long, but that just means we're wrapping up, those large project Genesis, and I'm looking forward to seeing some beautiful green grass there. And signage, wayfinding signs. Wanted to keep you in the loop that we did pull the trigger on those wayfinding signs, so those are just in production. I don't have a date yet. We're waiting on the manufacturer and some permitting things. So for the Brookview community, all of the wayfinding signs will happen here in this year. I just don't have a specific date yet. And several signs over at Chambers Point. We will do the remainder of the Chambers Point Point wayfinding signs in 2024, just because of the significance of cost. It was a very significant cost, so we are going to break it up a little bit. But we do feel like the Brookview community truly needs a decent main entrance sign. I'll have a decommissioning for that sandwich board sign out there too. But stay tuned for that. I'll let you know when the logistics for that occurs, but that trigger has been pulled. So Brookview community, your wayfinding signs are in production. Chambers Point, several signs will come along with that. Those signs will include identifying the Chambers Point Healthcare Center main door, our Lehman House, and Yeager House memory homes. So those are easy to find as well. And then we will complete the rest of your wayfinding signs at Chambers Point in 2024. A couple other things regarding signs on my list include signage that is in the work for the Renaissance at Chambers Point, the Manor Library at Chambers Point, the correct sign for Amy Haas, our Director of Independent Living at Northgate, and some signage at Village Square near the About Time Bistro that will give us some wayfinding signs to our wonderful treasure chest, the village store, the bank, and things of that nature. So signs everywhere, signs. Isn't that the song title? So stay tuned, but I wanted to keep you in the loop about that as well. Some other things happening and some other projects coming up. I've been mentioning about our PERS device, that's your personal emergency response device. We are going to be changing those batteries. It's going to be a big project in April. Our tech ops group have come up with a plan to do a better tracking and a software system that takes a little less pressure off of you remembering, oh, when did I get my battery changed the last time? So we are going to start with a clean slate here in April for everyone, get everybody on a routine and rhythm. So stay tuned for information coming out about that in April as well. But just if you were thinking, you're not sure, just hang tight. We'll get that battery changed for you in April. But in the meantime, I really encourage you to wear your PERS device. And if that PERS device is flashing yellow, you cannot wait. That means your battery is in significant need and is weak. So get that into the tech bar right away to get it changed if it's flashing yellow. All right, kind of on those same lines about emergency response, there's been a lot of talk lately about, what to do if we have power outages and we reside in independent living. So I just wanted to reiterate again that, for the independent living folks, if you reside at Chambers Point, our Renaissance building is going to be on a generator. So if for some reason the power is out in your cottage and we know it's it's going to be significantly cold, and we know it's going to be, half a day or for whatever reason, you can come up and hang out in the Renaissance to stay warm. At the Brookview community, the Life Center is not on a generator. So, we had a unique situation in the past where, some folks that live at Brookview are in the borough, some folks are in the Green Township. The borough had a power failure early in the morning for a couple hours, and folks could come over to the Life Center because the Life Center's in Green Township. But if we would have a large community-wide power outage that would last for a while, the Life Center would not be your first choice if it's very cold because, again, this building is not powered. Plus, some of the places will be a little dark. So places that do have generator backup at the Brookview community, of course, is going to be our Northgate building, our Brookview Healthcare Center, which would have a large chapel space that we could gather, the Village Square, or the rehab. But, please rest assured, in an event that we know that community-wide or even a portion is going to be out for a significant amount of time, the Menno Haven team, has a call tree system that we would all come in and rally and go door to door and manage any logistics that would need to occur. You won't be left here on your own. So we will come together and deploy a plan if there's some type of catastrophe that occurs here in our area. But just know that some of the buildings are fully generated, so we'll have heat, but the Life Center at the Brookview community is not on a generator. Okay. Couple other updates. I'm still searching for a massage therapist. And I want to talk a little bit about a packet of papers that you're going to be getting here at the end of the week. Couple things that are going to be coming out that I want to talk about. The first thing is, I've been mentioning about this updated robocall system. We currently have a robocall system here at Menno Haven, but it is very cumbersome. And so we have, I'm not sure if you remember us talking about Point Click Care, which is our electronic medical records and health records and overall records here at Menno Haven. And Point Click Care, or PCC, has a connection, sort of a complement system that is able for us to push out these types of robocalls and mass communication. The beauty of this new system is that it's a lot more nimble, and we're going to be able to even, slim down specific areas. Instead of just having to blast everyone at Menno Haven, we can actually just narrow it down. So if there's a situation that's just happening at Chambers Point, we can just shoot the communication to Chambers Point and don't have to, send it out to everyone, and vice versa for Brookview. So it is very strategic. We can kind of narrow it down to location and make it very specific. So I'm super happy about that. So great news is that we're ready to kick off this new program. I might have mentioned in the past that the setup was a little tedious, that we had to go into all of your contacts that are listed in there. So everyone that you had listed on your contact list, we had to go in and uncheck them all. So your designated person, your your trust officer at the bank wasn't getting a robocall about letting your pipes on the drip when it's cold. So that took us a little time to get that done, but we're there. So we are going to shoot out this new robocall on February the 15th. Okay, so next week. Now, what does that have to do with your packet of paper where I started this conversation? In that packet of paper, you're going to receive a half sheet of paper. And in that, or on that piece of paper, I would like for you to communicate if you did not receive the call on February the 15th. If you received it, it came to your landline, but you would prefer it to come to your cell phone. Or if you don't want to call, you would prefer it to shoot to your email, or you would prefer it to shoot to your cell phone via text message. So you'll have those options to communicate back to me. If you got the robocall, it's how you want it, don't change anything, don't send me back the piece of paper. But if you have some concerns or would like it switched to a different communication avenue, put your name on there and check off which you would prefer and get those back to me, and we'll switch it out in the system. So February the 15th, we'll be sending out that robocall. We're gonna shoot for mid-morning. I don't want it to be your wake-up call. So we'll shoot for later in the morning, and then you can just let me know with those forms back to me at your convenience. All right, some other pieces of paper within that packet that you're going to receive is your updated resident phone list. We like to send that out twice a year, so that will come in your packet. An updated campus map will be coming. There will be a one-page handbook update. That's page 27, just a clarification on outdoor decorations. And the last thing that will be coming is some of you may have already received this. We did, we kind of shot it out a little early, so we do need to give you another one, is the reoccurring events and activities, and you'll see this a little closer on the screen, that has the reoccurring events and wellness schedule on it. So we've gone away from that monthly independent living calendar. We get, sort of lots of frustrations. It's hard to see it, the color coding, it feels like it needs a secret handshake to figure it out sometimes. So we wanted to send this out. It will not be coming out monthly. What we'll do is send out that reoccurring events and wellness schedules. It's front and back. And then if there is a change to something reoccurring, then a new one will come out. So instead of all that paper and all those man hours on a monthly basis, we'll just shoot it out whenever there's a change. So it might go 3 months, it might go 4 months, it might go 6 months, it might go all year. Who knows? But we just really appreciate your grace in trying that and seeing how that works out. But again, I want you to continue to keep this with you, this Connect. I think this is just an excellent publication that, Melissa Parson and the leisure coordinators, it is just how they make this come together and flow. And plus, I love to check out all these amazing pictures. Isn't this great of Anne, Bonnie, and Donna snow tubing? What a wonderful February picture on the front of the Haven Connect. But I just want you to really get used to using a Haven Connect. Check it out. Go front to back when it comes out. You'll find lots of great information. So take the time to read that. Keep it handy. Check out on the resident portal the new week at a glance. So if you go into the resident portal and you're clicking on the calendar, you're always going to be able to find the reoccurring events and the wellness schedule. And you'll also be able to just click on a real quick reminder of what is broken down each week. We'll also have those weeks at a glance posted at the bulletin boards. There'll be a bulletin board at the Renaissance, at Northgate, and then when you come into the Life Center, we'll have them at the back and the front door. So if you're out and about, I'm not expecting you to carry your Haven Connect with you, but it's going to be a nice little quick visual cue to check out, oh, I forgot this is happening tomorrow, as a nice little visual reminder. And then for events that need and require an RSVP on that resident portal, I was going to say reportal, on the resident portal, there is that separate tab that says event sign up. So you have your calendar that's going to break down the week at a glance, the reoccurring events, everything that's in your Haven Connect, and then the event sign up is still that whole separate tab. So it's easy for the leisure coordinators to manage reservations. And if you do not care to use a computer, that's not your thing, that's okay too. You can continue to communicate with your leisure coordinators and they will be happy to make those reservations for you. All right, so just a reminder, things coming out in this packet here at the end of the week. Again, depending on the weather, the volunteers will be delivering those packets. You're going to get the updated reoccurring events and wellness schedule, updated phone list, the campus map, updated handbook page 27, and the form for the robocall. And keep that form handy because remember the robocall is coming out on February the 15th. All right. Last thing, one thing I do want to just kind of promote a little bit. I know this is going to be a sensitive conversation, but we're going to work hard to try to make it less sensitive. And that's talking about death. It's okay to talk about death, and we want to promote something that's a coalition happening in our area, and that is a virtual death cafe. So it happens the third Thursday of each month. February 16th is the kickoff here from 6 to 8 p.m. And I'll be hanging these flyers out on our community bulletin boards. But it complements or comes alongside an event that we're having in March. On March the 22nd, you'll see something on your calendar called Got Wishes. And this, again, is a coalition that's out there to advocate and to educate about advanced life planning, right? I mean, we hear about this all the time. You go to the doctor, you go into the hospital, do you have a living will? Do you have a post form? What's your advanced directives? It's all these words and it gets confusing. And quite frankly, as human beings, I'm not sure that's always something we'd like to have in the forefront of our brains. So this new coalition coming out, I believe it's in conjunction with WellSpan and several other, I said, coalitions, Healthy Adams County, Aging Inspired, Your Life, Your Wishes, and this Got Wishes group. So I'll be posting that out, but if that is something you're interested in, you can call me. I can give you some more information, but it's the Virtual Death Cafe. It's a death cafe, which is a group-directed conversation at which people, often strangers, gather virtually to talk about the topic with no set agenda, objectives, or themes. It's free, and it's a very open, respectful of all communities and belief systems. So I want to just promote that so you have an idea of what I'm talking about when you see this flyer hanging out there, and to kind of plant that seed of that Got Wishes program that's coming up in March. All right, so I think that's my list. Whew, I feel like I talked a long time. I'm sorry. So Haven Today, we will not be broadcasting updated Haven Today for this week because we have lots of things to talk about at town meeting. But I did want to just put a shout out to those folks that have reached out to me. I had several phone calls, some emails. I think people thought I was missing because the Haven Today show was not broadcasting, I believe, on the in-house channel. So we did find a software hiccup and got that fixed. So hopefully that will be resolved, and we will make sure the Haven Today show is out on the in-house channel going forward. So no updated Haven Today this week. You're stuck with me on town meeting and checking us all out. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming out to town meeting, and I look forward to getting back to Menno Haven next week. Enjoy the rest of the meeting. Bye-bye.
Good morning, everyone. I'll do my own introduction. I'm Tori Lorenz, the Director of Team Services, which is the Human Resources Department here at Menno Haven. So I just wanted to provide just a brief overview of the happenings in Team Services and what's coming up in this first quarter. And hopefully I press the right button. Okay, perfect. So this graph here just gives an overview of our turnover rates for 2022. We did close overall for the entire organization at a 33.33% turnover rate. To give a better picture, we started the year at 48.89%. So we did see a significant decrease considering. First year turnover, unfortunately, we did end at 83.96%. But again, in comparison, we started the year at 129%. This graph here, it illustrates all first year terminations by location and months worked. So here we have that most team members do terminate within the first 60 days of employment. And this trend also was for 2021 as well. So we saw both in both years. We have overall terms by position. Certified nursing assistant is our highest turnover position. We had 64 total terminations in 2022. And then the next group is significantly lower. However, LPNs, RNs, resident assistants, and culinary assistants are our second highest. We do expect more turnover in culinary assistants. We do hire a lot of minors, so that is expected for them going to school or giving more focus to high school. This graph here illustrates first year turnover, specifically for Brookview Healthcare Center, Chambers Point Healthcare Center, and rehab. And this also illustrates for CNAs, LPNs, and RNs. Unfortunately, Chambers Point here did see the highest number of terminations of CNAs with a total of 20 within their first year of employment. So they did not make that first year mark. To give more oversight, Team Services has our benefits section within. For compensation, we did increase our 2023 wage scale to mimic the increase that our team members saw overall for 2023. And we positioned the wage scale so that we have a better position essentially within the market and competition as well. Maintenance specifically, we had broken out their positions so that we are identifying by their specific skill and trade versus a general maintenance position, which will help us with retention and recruitment also. We have an internal pay equity audit happening right now. It will be concluding in next couple of weeks actually, and that will show us any flaws we may have between team members currently employed with us. Benefits specifically, we have a strong focus on wellness for 2023. We do want to look at financial, emotional, physical, and social wellness. We will be putting out a survey to all team members because my question is, what are the team members really wanting? right? We don't want to just assume that it's just medical, dental, and vision, but what are they really looking for and what's important to them? So that'll be coming here in early 2023. And then we are planning for a wellness fair in September of 2023 as well. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is a small committee that we started in early 2022. When I say we started it, essentially from the ground up. The committee is still small. It has a few members, myself included, our team services specialist, Chaplain Lori, Susie, the social worker at Brookview Healthcare Center, my education and engagement specialist, and my talent acquisition specialist. Overall, we have three main focuses, and that is to be increasing our diversity within recruitment, the culture at Menno Haven, and education as well. We have started community conversations and hoping to develop some partnerships along the way, so specifically with Franklin County Coalition, Racial Reconciliation, and PA Career Link. We figured the next steps would be communication to all. So we started with our leadership group, we started with our operations team, and now to all of our residents as well, that this has been underway for almost a year at this point. And we do need to take the next steps, like I said, specifically with education too. What does diversity, equity, and inclusion really mean? We do have an annual family picnic for the team members, and this year's theme is going to be around the world. Within education and engagement, we did begin a community CPR class in January, and we saw a lot of interest from local nursing students interested in employment with Menno Haven. So I think it's a great dotted line to retention. So our talent acquisition specialist has also at this point reached out to them as well to start that conversation. We will be having an awards night for our team members on March 24th. I'm very excited about that. Our awards will be tied to the mission, vision, and values of Menno Haven, and also years of service as well. And in January, we began to recognize specific team member positions rather than just nurses or CNAs, but everyone as a whole as well. And we have a recognition platform. We call it Inspire, and they do receive points that tie to gift cards or prizes, and each position will be celebrated in specific months. From a recruitment standpoint, we have our first quarter recruitment plan. We have that we are going to continue sponsoring job postings through Indeed for better placement against our competitors. We are targeting specific positions throughout or on Indeed. We began targeted searches, which are pay per clicks through Google. And we have several events that our talent acquisition specialist is attending. She went to Ice Fest last weekend. She'll be at Wilson College this month. And then she has College and Careers Fair with high school students in March. We are working on updating the recruitment material. And we also have teamed up with our marketing team for the creation of billboards, radio ads, and commercials on streaming services. So more to come on that last piece. Although our radio ad started on February 6th, so yesterday. Us as a department, there are 6 of us right now. I will be expanding the department by adding a team services coordinator. This is to help with our bandwidth. Overall, we have a lot of projects underway and a lot of ideas for the future. So we do need that additional person to help us. And then also it does add a level of, or an extra step for a career purpose within the department. And then lastly, policy and technology. We have several systems within team services that will be evaluated. Specifically, like our human resource management platform, our applicant tracking system, our learning management system. And the purpose of this is to be more efficient and effective overall. We want to enhance and automate processes related to both the candidate and team member experience. There is a strong focus on policy review currently and the revision during first quarter with a focus on compensation, hiring policies, and a driver policy as well. Thank you. Roger, with his operations update.
Thanks, Tori. Good morning, everybody, still. I have just a few updates. I'll be brief, and then we'll turn this over to the main event. So naturally, I will be talking a little bit about coronavirus. You may have heard that the public health emergency is scheduled to end on May 11th. What does that mean for us? Probably not a lot. We will continue doing most of the things that we've done here. We will respond as the coronavirus ebbs and flows. As you'll see right now, Pennsylvania in general and Franklin County are looking pretty good. That triple-demic that was forecast between the RSV and the flu and the COVID, we may have had a little bump, but it never really fully materialized. But on the bright side, things appear to be on the downward trend right now. Not that they will necessarily stay there, but they're on a downward trend right now. Now this is a little different view. This is the view of how we have to act within our skilled nursing and in our personal care centers. This is a COVID community transmission map, and this still shows that we are in high transmission. That high transmission is a combination of the positive PCR tests that most people don't do PCR tests now with all of the home tests and rapid tests, but it's a PCR positivity rate. It ties into how full the hospitals are in the community and a few other components. So we're still in high, but we're beginning to see, a little bit more of the substantial and moderate creeping in, and we have one county in the state that is in low community transmission. So basically, for what this means for us right now, as long as we remain in that high rate, our teams will be wearing masks. We will be asking all the visitors to be wearing masks when they're in the healthcare and the personal care settings. Once we get into substantial, we have some decisions to make. We may loosen that up a little bit. And I for one, look forward to the day when our residents who live in those nursing homes don't have to try to make out what we're trying to tell them through a mask, where you may have some hearing loss, you just can't read lips. And so it's still an ongoing challenge, in those settings. So we hope to see that improve soon. Right now, this is all we've got for COVID right now that we are aware of. And that is 3 team member cases. I don't know how long it's been since it's been that low, but we'll take it. This is of course, the graph over the last year. If you remember, last January was huge. This January, not so much. We still had significant cases, but they really started trailing off the second half of the month. And so far in February, it's looking pretty good. But you'll also notice, we do go up and down and up and down, and we've done that since the onset. So, what's going to happen in June and July? Are we going to see another little bump? Maybe. It's really hard to say. I will point out that in November, December, and January, we did have one resident in each of those months who passed away after they tested positive for COVID. Doesn't necessarily mean that COVID-19 was their main cause of death, but they did pass away while they were still considered positive. So, that is also what it is. So I wanted to let everybody know that we still have the Pfizer bivalent booster vaccines that are available. We have recently gotten word from our pharmacy that those are available in single-dose vials. So if you haven't gotten your that booster yet, there's still time before next year when the new booster comes out to get that booster. All we ask is that you fill out the requisition, which I have some with me if anyone would like one, and get that back to me, and we can schedule the date you want it. The pharmacy will bring the vial that morning, and I'll bring it to your house. So it's we'll make it as easy as possible for you. So if you want one, let me know. We'll make sure you get it. I wanted to give a little brief update on the skilled nursing in their 5-star updates again. These are the most recent updates that just came out. You'll note that the Brookview Healthcare Center is back to a 5-star facility, while both the Menno Rehabilitation Center and the Chambers Point are still at 4-star. The primary difference between the three, if you look, is in that staffing realm. And as you've heard before, and I know you'll hear again later when you talks, we've really seen some rebound in the retention and the staffing level at the Brookview Healthcare Center, less so in the rehab center and less so in Chambers Point. So at the Brookview Healthcare Center, they've regained enough team that they're able to, their community is about at capacity. We are still limiting admissions to some degree in Chambers Point and the Menno Rehab Center until we're able to bolster those staffing levels, because again, we don't want to bring in more people than we can care for in a quality way. We want to maintain those 5-star quality rankings. So, and, we also had a couple surveys in our personal care homes. The Brookview Personal Care had a survey last week. They came away with one citation, one deficiency, which was, again, fairly minor. In that case, a resident had an assist rail put on their bed. I think the family brought it in or something, and so there wasn't a physician's order for it, and we're required to have a physician's order to make sure that that's a safe adaptation. And so they got tagged for that. But that's certainly easy to correct. At Chambers Point, they had survey the next day, and they had 3 citations. One was related to a requirement that our team members are required to have fire safety training on day 1 of hire, and we had one team member who was hired who didn't get that until day 3. So that was a citation. There was another citation related to a medication. We had a prescription change where a medication went from 4 times a day to 2 times a day, and we didn't get the pharmacy to change the label on the card. So there was a typo error on that, and they wrote a deficiency for that. The person didn't receive medication that they weren't supposed to. The labeling on their med card just did not match what was given. And lastly, they always inspect our med carts, and they found a pill that had popped out of one of those little bubble pack blister packs in the bottom of the cart. And so that was a citation as well, but nothing in either of the communities that were really related to resident care. These were very good surveys. We're really proud of both of them. So if you see Deb or Jody, congratulate them on an excellent survey. And I believe we've come to the main event. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Roger. All right, I'm going to try to get through this, my pieces pretty quickly, but I do have a good bit in here, so I may run through fairly quickly. So we had 3 board members retire from the Menno board after serving 8 years. Dale Hurst, Pam Gaudios, and Arnold Barber. They certainly were very impactful and instrumental in Menno Haven's growth these past several years. But with that, we've welcomed 2 new board members, Ron Geit, who is retired CFO of Martin's Famous Pastries, and Carolyn George, who's a retired Senior Vice President of Finance from WellSpan. So we're happy to welcome both of them onto the board. Project branches, a quick update here. That is the potential collaboration or the collaboration and potential affiliation work between Messiah Lifeways and Menno Haven. There's certainly 3 things we are working on. One is a CFO search, the idea of sharing a CFO together. The other piece is construction support. So as we've wound down some of our construction, Larry Lagaro, we've sort of farmed him out or rented him to Messiah because they're doing some construction and need support. So that certainly helps us keep a person of his talent employed. And then the biggest thing I think that we're working through right now is just cultural fit, right? You know, we're both missionally aligned in many ways. We're both Anabaptist organizations, but the 2 boards really ultimately have to decide, you know, do they want to move beyond dating? So and if we want to give that kind of reference. So that is really the work that's happening right now. I wanted to maybe touch base a little bit on Menno Haven's performance over 2022 and some of our key metrics here. You know, one of the things we look at if we get to financials, right? The financials are really just the history of what happened. So, you know, what are the operational aspects? And that really boils down to our census. So we look at census really in like 4 buckets. Bucket number 1, skilled nursing. And I don't, you know, even from Tori's graph to our graphs, I don't expect you to be able to see them and read them necessarily, but what I will, you know, maybe give you the context is skilled nursing did not hit their budget in 2022 for census days, right? There are several factors to that from relations related within the pandemic and related to our ability to staff. And to Roger's point, we don't want to staff beyond, we don't want to admit residents into the nursing home beyond our ability to provide good care. So that is, I think, certainly one of the things that is very important to Menno Haven. Personal care actually exceeded their census and certainly made up some of the revenue shortage from skilled nursing, as did independent living. So we saw definite census growth in IL, PC, and actually over 2021 we saw census growth in skilled nursing, but not to what we projected in the budget. Home and community-based services really did not perform in their budgeted realm, and that most of that really goes back to pandemic-related issues and how we are regulated to do those services. All right, so from a financial standpoint, again, this is skilled nursing, right? We did not meet our revenue targets in skilled nursing. We exceeded our revenue targets in personal care, and we exceeded our revenue targets in independent living. We did not in our home and community-based services, but as an organization, we exceeded our revenue targets based on the entire budget. And that really was supported through personal care and independent living. So this slide really just is a snapshot, and I think you have this on the back of your programs, you know, just to point out that we actually exceeded our actual operating income, which is program service revenue, program service expenses, by about 5%. And that was our goal for the year, was to, as we put the budget out, to exceed it by 3 to 5%. So I'm really proud of our team and the work they did to actually make that come to reality. When we look at the idea of our covenants, our debt service, we're going to end the year at a 1.81. Our projections for this year when we did our financial feasibility study was 1.4, so we exceeded that. And then we ended the year with 367 days cash on hand. Our projections for that was 350 days, so we exceeded that. I personally wanted to end the year with a few more days cash on hand than 367. Big part of that issue was the markets, right? We lost a lot of what we would call unrealized value based on the markets. And I think all of our hope is some of that will come back this year. All right, and then team metrics, I just wanted to maybe give a little bit of context on the team. Certainly through this time, we have seen a lot of turnover, and I think Tori illustrated that well. And I don't expect you to remember these graphs per se, but I think the bright spots is that we are seeing turnover come down. I think another bright spot is our team services group is working really hard to identify within the organization and in the employee's lifespan or employment cycle, where is turnover occurring and what are the things we can deploy to try to make that better. So, all right, Operation Bloom, I want to give you a little bit of an update on our strategic plan. I'm going to skip this, but to say I was wanting to have a little bit of time to talk about the overall environment in which Menno Haven is operating nationally. And part of that, this graph would show that, you know, the market for Menno Haven is going well, right? There's a lot of people going to need services from a community like Menno Haven in the future. This graph shows that the employment levels from the pandemic have gone away, right? We now, again, like pre-pandemic, we were hitting the lowest unemployment rates in 50 years of U.S. history, right? We are now back to that point. But interestingly, the jobs lost within senior care have not recovered. So as jobs have recovered elsewhere, the workforce has not come back to senior care. So that is certainly a concern to us. I will skip on just to show that this is showing units being built for senior housing, right? We see a big need for more units to be built, but through the pandemic, those units have not been built. Hence, so we are going to see at some point, I wouldn't want to say a housing crisis, right? But there is going to be a point where there's not going to be enough units in the nation based on this for to meet some of the senior housing needs. So when it comes to Menno Haven, right, we feel really comfortable with the fact that, you know, our services will be in demand in the future. The real question is, how well can we create the workforce to support it, right? That really is when you look at the demographics where the issues are going to come. And this, let's see, I'm going backwards. Maybe I'm not. I get confused. Y'all stay with me here. So the other piece that I think is really interesting, this is financial transactions, financings within senior housing, nonprofit senior housing. And from the pandemic to today, you've seen it go straight down. So truth is, you know, when we had Project Genesis, right, it was a great time to finance a project like what we were trying to do in the market. And as you can understand, inflation, cost of construction, interest rates going up, that really is putting the kibosh on expansion of housing within senior living. So you can see the number of financings, the trend line, I guess, from the peak in before the pandemic, we're down almost 90% in financings. All right, so Chambers Point Focus Group is what I want to make sure I cover today. So we did some focus groups here to help inform our master planning that will happen this year. And I want to talk a little bit about the process, and I want to make sure that I stress this, right? When you start trying to understand the sentiment of human beings, that's tricky business, right? Because there's always, in a focus group, there are group dynamics. Someone speaks an opinion, someone that has an alternate opinion may not speak up, right? It's hard to do, and there has to be a certain amount of rigor to really be able to believe you truly understand that sentiment. So we did not take that level of scientific rigor to this process. So I just want everybody to know these are, I think, intuitionally right, and I think to most degree they're probably right, but I can't sit here and tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt every person at Chambers Point believes this is the right way. So we are going to try to do some follow-up work to confirm some of these things. So Tiffany and I facilitated them. We had 65 Chambers Point residents participate, and 8 cottage residents and 8 Renaissance residents. Just for the demographics, we had 24 men, 49 women, and the age ranges were from 62 to 94. So quite a diverse group representative. So we talked about 4 different areas, certainly event space. And here are the things that came out about perception. And the one thing that really stood out to me in all of it was this idea of accessibility. That really was a theme throughout every single focus group in all of these areas, is that whatever we do in response, things need to be accessible. But certainly the ideas around there were limited parking, and I'm talking about independent living event space. There's limited parking. Many are in long walking distances. They can be out of the way. Capacity is limited. Many of the spaces were not built to be versatile. There's a lot of talk about so much happening in the Renaissance dining room. Other spaces that are in the manor are uninviting. They're dark. They're in the basement. There's a musty smell, and at times it's damp. So, what is ideal? Certainly a place that's easy to get to with adequate parking. Heard a lot about being abundant light, being vibrant in color, and something that could be multi-purpose. We heard capacity seatings anywhere from 25 to 150, and there was the theme that good technology is important in that space. We talked about a dining venue, and what are the issues? Certainly the place we have today is small, it's not been very functional within the pandemic. It's a long walk, it's in a healthcare area, so a regulated space. Capacity is limited, the menu's limited, hours are limited. It's in a walkway, doesn't look like a dining space. So what is ideal? Certainly a place that has good parking, is easy to get to, would have outdoor seating, consistent hours. We did talk about the idea, are you looking for a bistro, the About Time Bistro or Chestnut Landing or the grill? It was overwhelmingly not Chestnut Landing, but something more like the About Time Bistro or the grill. Certainly would like to have 3 meals a day, like the grill or bistro, and then quick serve items. We delved into the conversation about dining dollars, right? If Menno Haven were to develop a new dining venue here, it most likely would require us to take the entire campus into dining dollars. That came with very mixed reviews. And so, there was, I would say, probably 75% of the group was anti-dining dollar. Probably a quarter of the group would be willing to, fund dining dollars for that convenience of a new dining venue here. So then we talked about wellness spaces. Certainly Keep Robin, that came up in almost every group. Keep Robin. Overall, I think people felt the programming is good, but capacity is limited. Locker space is limited. Classes sometimes are too early. Which I'm not sure I found this a weakness, but there's so much to do, sometimes it's hard to choose. And then what's the ideal? Keep Robin. But I will say Robin is a 40-year tenured team member, and she will retire at some point. But I'm hoping she'll make 50 years. We talked about people said, they would love to see indoor pickleball, possibly bocce ball, walking or hiking trail. Talked about yoga, offering classes later in the day. Larger locker rooms, maybe some redundancy with equipment, so that, you're not, if you go to get on the whatever piece of equipment, it's not the only one if someone else is on it. Focus on whole person wellness, and also expansion of the community nursing program. We talked about the continuum of care. What is the perception of the continuum of care? And that was overall fairly positive. There was some discussion that the manor's getting dated. Rooms are small for couples. The hallways are long. but the general perception is the care there is good. Skilled nursing, good care. I think it was very surprising for people to understand that there aren't a lot of private rooms in the current nursing center here on this community. So certainly could be some, I think there was certainly some desire to see more private rooms developed. They, really appreciative of memory care and thought it was a really good addition to Menno Haven. So that really is the gist of what we heard. Accessibility is important. A space for independent living residents to gather that's versatile. So we'll try to put something out so that you can actually have it and hold it in your hand and see it in the coming days. All right, so Operation Bloom, that will now lead into master planning for Menno Haven. We have 4 priorities for this master planning event or series. One is certainly understanding the market, looking at our strategic positioning within the market, certainly a campus master plan, so site planning and specifically looking at Chambers Point, and then looking at the financial feasibility of any decisions that we make. All right, then Operation Bloom is our, again, strategic plan. We have 4 teams. Each year we do appoint some multifunctional teams to work on our strategy. This year, our focus is retention, recruitment, wellness, and technology. And I don't think I have enough time really to get too in depth with these, but under our culture, again, recruitment and retention are the big things here. Under our legacy, certainly hiring a CFO, hitting our budgets, continuing to look to and evaluate the partnership with Messiah Lifeways is important. Under technology, we've got several new technologies that will be coming to Menno Haven. The real goal is to do that well because there's a lot happening there. On the O, certainly we want to continue our focus on person-centered wellness, continue on our person-centered care initiatives. We want to take a look at this idea of domestic residents, those that are in between care levels and how we can support them, in addition to personal engagement activities for independent living residents as well. And then the master plan, Chambers Point, personal care apartments, and expansion of independent living. Those are the 3 buckets of the focus there. All right, I think I got through that in record time. So we will open it up and take any questions that you have. And I apologize if I talk quickly. Sometimes the southerner in me can really get going, but wanted to get you out of here in a decent time.
The mound of dirt at Northgate, is that classified as topsoil, and was it sold by the truckload or the volume?
Yeah, it is. There's parts of it that are topsoil, but majority of it's not filtered like topsoil. So it is pretty much just hauled away. There's no real market for it. It's going to cost us to get rid of it.
I was just thinking about that 3-star for Chambers Point for the health center. I'm concerned about that, and I'm thinking that Tori Lorenz gave an excellent report, and one of the committees was racial diversity. That might help with recruitment. Is there ever a resident from Menno Haven on a committee like that?
There is not one on that particular committee. We've had residents, we've had a resident on one of the committees, and we have one on a committee this year, but I don't think not on that actual committee, no.
So not yet on the team member diversity committee?
Tori, you do need a mic because we have people on television.
So not on the diversity team member committee. However, as we begin to get more under our feet, we are looking to invite residents as well. But that'll be in the coming, probably towards the end of the year.
Go back to the soil. Was it considered, was there a consideration that to move the soil that's over at the other campus and bring it over to this new piece of land and just spread it across that as a way of utilizing it, or is that more expensive?
I don't think that would be more expensive, no, sir, but it wasn't considered. We wanted to be out of it. Other questions?
You did such a good job.
I have a quick question. I have a quick question for Chuck. Could you explain, define for me the usage for the benevolent fund?
Yeah, the benevolent fund, and I think, Chuck, I can get this one. The benevolent fund goes to, so when you move in as an independent living resident or a personal care resident, you go through a qualifying process to be at Menno Haven. And you don't know exactly how long your funds will last. Certainly inflation, isn't it? You know, length of life or life expectancy, inflation are certainly things, and market performance, right, are all things that could impact your finances over a period of time at Menno Haven. If you qualify, the benevolent fund, you run out of funds. The benevolent fund is something that a resident can apply for, that the board would approve to augment your stay once you've run out of your resources. So it's certainly not something that you could, you know, come to Menno Haven and, you know, say, well, I'm going to get rid of all my dollars now, apply to the benevolent fund. The accounting team does a forensic analysis of how you qualified and expected, how your resources were outlaid, and then they make a recommendation to the board. You're welcome.
Back to the diversity issue, I'll call it. Do we have is there any consideration of developing a program so that when we hire or people of color or people who have needs to develop skills, that we could help them with that?
You want to take that one, Tori? Our biggest goal right now, Jean, is looking at our culture. So we feel to be a successful employer in Franklin County, our workforce, the demographics of our workforce should mirror the community by race and or ethnicity and gender, right? We should look, our workforce should look like the community. And we tend to be off that mark just a little bit. So the initial focus is certainly just how do we make sure that we have inroads into other communities and help people know Menno Haven's a great place to work. But there's also, I think, work we have to do within our culture. Some of the efforts with retention and recruitment, part of that is looking at creating pathways to help people develop skills. Certainly that would be open to anyone. So even like the whole CPR thing, we're one of our main goals this year is be able to fund and create CNAs from the community here at Menno Haven that hopefully is a pipeline into Menno Haven. So that would be, that idea would be a reproducible skill that we could help someone in the community, no matter their racial ethnicity, but certainly hopefully diverse like the community, get education, get a skill, and come into Menno Haven. So there are lots of things we're looking at, even from scholarship programs. You know, one of the things we know in the United States, Latinos are underrepresented in nursing, period, right? And if you look at Franklin County's demographic, right, there's a lot of folks from a Latino heritage and background. how can we help create that pathway for them to enter nursing and find that rewarding, fulfilling career. So Tori, I don't know if you want to add some to that.
Hugh, I think you cover that very well. I think it just goes back to our three main focuses within diversity. Again, it's the recruitment, the culture, and education for our current team members. And what's really important too are the early conversations that we're having with those different community groups within Franklin County as well. So again, very much in the early stages of diversity. It's not an easy undertaking, and there's a lot of research and homework that we have to do ourselves as well.
Do we still, when I first came, every year there was always a presentation of, there was a foundation that was set, a couple of foundations that were set up by, resident families that had been residents here for CNAs, RNs, and things like that. Is that still in place, or has that run out of money?
No, we have the Shepherd Scholarship here.
Okay.
That is for any healthcare related education, and we give away, depends on how many people apply, and then the committee, the Lucas, Mrs. Shepherd's daughter, are on the committee, and we might give away one, we might give away three. We also have the Rover Fund at Menno for the same thing. And why you haven't seen any presentations, because under COVID, the last couple of years we just stopped it. But there are educations, and it depends on the year, and a lot where the economy is, because we might give 1,000 to 3,000, but if your school costs 15,000, they've got to come up with the rest. So we do have that. So
I've got the mic. What, if anything, is marketing doing? What if anything is marketing doing to increase the diversity of the residents?
I think I don't know if marketing has a specific initiative to, say, decrease the diversity of residents. I do think Menno certainly would love to see an increase in diversity of residents, but when you draw a circle around where our residents come from, it is not a very diverse circle. So we would really have to understand how to recruit out of other areas to do that. And certainly we do recruit in some of those areas. But I don't know of an exact initiative with that. And that is a question we get a good bit. I think certainly if you were to talk to all of us on the senior team, we would love to see diversity in both resident population and in team member population. Great questions, thank you. Other questions?
You have an excellent report on the finances, and thank you so much. Any comments on budgeting for this next year? How's the prospects? How does it look? We had no numbers listed on that one. You only have 367 days. I know we're going to survive.
Oh yes, yeah. We're going to survive. I think we're able to place a budget that is consistent with our financial feasibility. I think there's several key pieces to that. It will be, will rising interest rates make it harder for people to sell their homes, right, and move to Menno? That's a risk for us. I think also navigating the workforce. So there appears to be good demand for Menno, but people need to sell their homes to move in. And as well, from the healthcare side, right, we need to be able to have a full qualified staff to be able to take that census up. So those are the two things. We do see there's evidence that inflation is cooling, so that's a good sign. But how far will it cool the housing market is yet to be determined. And more importantly, all politics are local, right? How far will it cool the housing market here, which all the signs right now is it's slowed some, but hopefully not to a major slowings. But again, I am not an economist, and I read a lot of them, but there you'll find mixed opinions on every one of these subjects. But overall, hopefully we're able to put a budget out that should meet all of our obligations, take care of you, and do the things we're supposed to do. But it's day by day in the current environment. All right, any other questions? All right, we've worn out your seat tolerance. Well, y'all have a lovely day, and thank you for coming out today.